Hey.
All right. I think that 1 minute countdown was a little bit too long.
I think a 10-second would be better, maybe.
10-second. Whoa, I thought 30 seconds was too short. We'll see. We'll see.
Hey, short attention spans. Come on.
That's right. I have to get with the program. I spent my entire life trying to lengthen my attention span, only to fight against ADD, to increase my focus, only to find myself in a world where everyone's attention span is getting shorter. How funny is that?
That's pretty interesting.
Cool. Well, good morning, Curtis. Welcome to Get Shit
Morning,
Done
Solomon.
again.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's get some shit done.
That's right. Sunday, May 18th, 8:23 a.m.
Yep.
It's the 138th episode of the Get Shit Done show, dude.
Nice. Good stuff.
Stacking them up.
Yep.
It's pretty great.
Good.
So let's see. You just got back from the gym. I'm just getting ready to go out on a run with a couple of my running buddies here at the top of the hour. So we're gonna probably do about a half-hour episode today, I think.
Yeah, good.
And we're here to talk a little bit about the good old-fashioned reticular activating system. Activating system. But before we do, what are you happiest or most excited about in the world right now? And guys, if you're tuning in on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, please let us know. What are you happiest about or most excited about in the world right now? We would love to know.
Comments.
Improve my lighting situation a little bit. So, what about you, Curtis?
Well,
what are you happiest
about? Hobbies right now. I spent about a week looking for a car. I finally found one that I liked. And oddly enough, during the week, I saw 3 cars. I worked on the same car 3 times at my job because I work with cars. And then after I left the dealership, I was driving home. I saw a dozen of them. It's like, what the hell's going on? This is like such a weird thing. But then I remembered the R.A.S thing. Is like, let's talk about that, because a lot of times we don't think about the things we're doing, but all of a sudden when you're involved with something, all of a sudden things just open up and you can see more of the same thing. So
Right. I want to tell you. So I was thinking about this because you had suggested this topic this morning. And I was thinking about it as I was preparing for the show, and I've had. I mean, it has nothing to do with automobiles, but I've had a similar experience yesterday that people might be able to. That's directly business related, right? So we'll bring it back around to that. So that's pretty cool. So you spent about a week.
Yep.
Trying to decide what kind of car you were going to get.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the process that you went through in order to make that decision?
So basically, I wanted to get a compact SUV because I wanted to make sure it's 4x4, and most of them are in a reasonable price range that I felt I could afford.
Okay.
But what I found when I went to dealerships was the percentage was like 8 to 9%. Most of them. I was like, holy crap, that's almost double the price of the vehicle.
Right.
Like, it's almost like 10%. So it's quite a bit of money to spend. Originally, I was thinking, I'll buy used, it'd be, cheaper. But then I added all the accessories and stuff I wanted with the vehicle, and the interest rate was like, what? It's like this much money? It's like, oh my God. So that was like, I say, well, let's look at new cars. And the new cars were similar, like 25 to 30 grand each. And then it's like, well, I found this one called Mitsubishi, and they had ones that started at 25, which was pretty cool. And most of the other cars that were used around 20, 22, 23, they're around 20,000 or so, right? Yeah. For extra 5 grand, I was like, hey, I get a brand new vehicle. Let's do it. Let's take a look. So anyway, I looked all week at this vehicle, checking all the details, the stuff like you do when you look at a vehicle. So you just want to know everything about it, right?
Yeah.
So I did that. And then the one I picked was called the RVR. It's a recreational vehicle. They call it. It's a short form. I forget what it was. Recreational vehicle something.
It was a 4-wheel drive minivan.
Yep, that's SUV.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so, cool. Great. Yeah. They're hard to tell the difference between SUVs and minivans anymore, right?
Yeah, but this is compact, so it's smaller than a minivan, basically. The length of it.
Minivan.
Yeah, maybe.
Cool.
So I was doing research on it, and then I found out that.
Hold on.
Yep.
How did you do research on it?
Internet and ChatGPT.
Okay. Well, there's a reason I'm asking these questions, right? So when you say the internet, how many different websites did you visit over the course of the time that when you decided that you needed a new car and you began that decision-making process, was it only a week or was it longer than a week?
Maybe a little bit longer, but the week before, like last week, I was looking more intently at different vehicles. But before, when I looked saying, oh, what kind of cars are this style, right? So it's like, I want a SUV, 4-wheel drive that's in the subcompact, mostly because of fuel efficiency and an easier drive in the city and stuff, right? So you're not driving a full-size SUV. It's good, but difficult to drive around the city. And the fuel economy is like astronomical. So the first one I looked at was like the hybrid style or plug-ins. They were like 45 to 50 grand each. I was like, oh, gee, I don't think I can afford that.
No,
it would just be on the borderline.
Hold on. When you say you looked at, I'm asking you.
I looked online at the dealerships, internet, their websites.
Local dealerships or the main where did you go?
So first I checked out the main sites, like so say Mitsubishi Canada, GM Canada, what was it, Kia and Nissan. So I look at all the Canadian sites and then see what they had on special. Then I went into figure out what vehicles were in that range that I was looking at. And then I went to 4 different dealerships that were new. And then I said, well, let's see what they have for used. And checked a couple used places, and I found out most of them were 8 or 9%. And same thing with regular dealerships, because I guess the prime rate in Canada right now is around 9. So a lot of them are offering that. It's like, oh my God, they're quite expensive. Because way back in 2018, I bought a new car, it would only have paid like 3%. And it was reasonable because I could afford the payments.
So Curtis, one thing that I'm noticing is that you are very aware of the details that you thought through and processed as you were thinking about this car.
Yep.
Right. And so how many total different websites do you think you went through in the week and a half that you went from deciding that you needed a car to buying the car? Like how many different websites did you look at to do research?
Oh boy, probably a ton. I don't know the exact number, but I looked at new and used, and there's a lot of them.
Yes. How many different unique websites? Like different,
probably at least 15, including the used ones.
Okay, so in a week's time, you did at least, you went to 15 different websites. How much time did you spend doing research?
Well, luckily at my work we were slow, so I probably got an extra few hours there, and then at home it'd be like an hour at least. So probably about almost 2.5, maybe 3 hours max. 3 hours maybe looking.
Okay, and in the end, how much did the car cost that you purchased? How much was it? How much was the total?
With all the extra stuff I got with it was 48. No, 42. 42,000.
And what were you able to? What did you end up with a monthly payment?
It was $245 a month, or biweekly. Biweekly.
Great. And did you have to put some money down?
Nope.
Wait, $249 every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, so it's just under 500. Yeah, under 500 a month.
And you didn't have to put money down.
Nope, they didn't ask. The only thing they wanted was a licensing fee up front, so I think that was like $35.
Okay, but $500 a month.
Yep.
So you made a $500 a month commitment.
Yep.
On a $40,000 vehicle.
Pretty much. Yep.
Right. Which is, I'd have to do the math on how many months that is, but that's a whole lot of months.
It's 84 months.
Okay, 70. So 84 is that what, 6 years?
7, I think. 7.
Okay.
It was 7 years. I think it's 84 months.
Okay, so that's a long-term commitment, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if you had to add up the number of hours that you think you spent doing research and actually going and looking at cars physically, that totally counts as research.
Yeah.
How many total hours do you think you spent?
God, let's see. Well, each dealership was probably about an hour, a minimum. A car person doing a test drive, because I was able to sign up for test drives for 4 of them, and I went to all 4 appointments for that, because that's how they do it now. They ask you a bunch of questions. In order to see the cars, they make you sign up through email and all that opt-in stuff.
Right.
So then they have your information. They can either text you, email you, right? So then I did. That's about an hour each. That's 4 hours there.
And you went to how many dealerships?
4.
Wow.
4 different dealerships.
Okay.
And then there was a couple cars that I thought were awesome, but the price on the end was like, no, that's not gonna work for me, right? So that was 4 there. Then probably driving time. Some of them were like an hour and a half. Some were like 5 minutes away. So let's say 4. So probably maybe under 8 hours, I would guess, in total drive time, including like test driving the vehicles. Because some were farther away than others to get to, and then I gotta still go back to the one that's like an hour away from my house to pick up the vehicle next
Okay,
Thursday or
so
coming
8
Thursday.
hours of
Yep.
physical time, but how much did you think on research?
Probably 15-ish, maybe.
Okay, and this is in a week and a half or a week?
Yeah, a week and a bit. Yeah, a week and a half would probably be more accurate.
Okay, so you did 15 hours of online research. You did 8+ hours of in-person research,
Yes. Yep.
right? Like driving around and talking to humans and checking out the cars itself. And how much of this was solo and how much of this was with your wife?
None with the wife. I just told her what I was doing, what I was interested in, and because she works, so she was able to make it in the evenings. Yesterday, I brought my daughter with me for all day driving around. So I went
But it
hit
was a
3.
decision you made for yourself.
I did, but I told her what I was doing and what I was interested in, and she said, "Okay."
Yeah, but it was your decision. It wasn't as much of a joint decision. I mean, if you were doing something stupid, she would have
Yeah. Well, I told her what I was doing, and she said, "Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, take a look."
Cool. So in a week and a half,
Yep.
you spent 22 to 25 hours
Yep.
of intense focus time
Hmm.
figuring out what car to buy.
Yep.
Okay. And then you bought it.
Yep.
Now,
There's
when did
conditions,
you
reasons
start
why.
seeing,
Yeah.
at what point did you start seeing the car everywhere?
Probably, I think Monday, Tuesday of last week, it started popping up because
But
it was my
was it on your conscious mind at that point? Was it on your radar that was an option?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So
Was I conscious?
you had done the research,
Yep.
and before you started seeing it everywhere,
Yep.
how certain were you? What did you end up with?
Mitsubishi RVR.
Okay, this RVR.
Yep.
What does that stand for?
It's recreational vehicle something. I forget what
RVR. Okay, great, cool. So you got this RVR, and how certain were you that you were going to get an RVR?
pretty positive because the biggest selling point for them was their 10-year warranty on the powertrain, and they have bumper to bumper for pretty close to the same.
Yeah.
That was the factor. Was the reliability, made in Japan instead of around in North America, so I knew the quality would be exceptional. And the reliabilities, they've been around for a very long time. So I was like, some people are still driving like 2002 ones around. So I was like,
so this started popping up in your consciousness. You did a whole bunch of research, and then and you happened to work on glass for cars, and so you have cars coming in front of you all day, every day.
Yep.
And so as you go through this process, do you remember what it's like when you start dating someone or when you meet someone before you start dating them?
Yeah, it's been a long time ago, but yeah, okay. Yeah, it's been a long time.
But you don't know, and
yeah,
right. And when you meet somebody and you can't stop thinking about them.
Yep.
Okay. That's the reticular activating system. That's
Yep.
what happened to you after you did a bunch of research on this car. Like you
That's
got the
right.
hots for the car. Okay.
Yep.
It's like you got a crush on the car. Okay. And it's cool. It's fine. But like you were like, oh, okay, this is the one. Right? Like,
Yep.
So here's what happens. So the reticular activating system is a cluster of neurons in your brain stem. And when you become intensely focused, it really helps to
Yep.
increase your focus and your awareness around certain types of things.
Yep.
And so there are, I'm going to say the word opportunities, but I don't just mean money. Okay. There are tons of opportunities all around us all the time. And if we've really focused in on some aspect of an opportunity or a direction we might want to go, and we're thinking about it from every different angle, we're having conversations with people about it, we're doing research about it, all these things, what happens is the reticular activating system then kind of sends that signal out into the rest of the brain, so the rest of the brain can start picking up and perceiving that exact thing going on out in the world. And so when you buy a new car, or when you're doing the research on buying a new car, and all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere, that's the reticular activating system at play saying, you're on the right track. Look at that. That's what we've been thinking about. It's right there. We're not idiots. This is good. And so it's the same effect when you meet a potential partner, and you're like, oh, this person's incredible, is wonderful, is the type of person I've been looking for. And then in the early stages of dating, usually this is just you can't get your mind off this person, right? So same thing happens with a car, but the same thing happens with a business. And this is where people get off track. So Curtis, ready? In the last week and a half, how many hours did you spend fixating on growing your podcast?
I was more focused on the car this week, but I also did
way more focused on the car, of course.
Yep. But I also focused on because I found a new program called Hero.fm.
Right.
So I dove deep into that as well. So I was listening to it on my way to work. I would listen to stuff about it during work sometimes. And then I was in the evening and in the morning, I would set it up, which I currently have.
Okay. So awesome. I'm curious what you found. I'm not saying you didn't make any progress on your business. What I'm saying is the amount of information that you took in about this car in a compressed amount of time, the amount of intense, focused thought that you put into it was a lot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay. And you came to this live stream with all this data, all this new information, all these considerations, all this perspective that you gained. You made a decision, you made a commitment. I haven't heard you speak that enthusiastically about what you're working on with your business, or that articulately, or that clearly about, well, listen, I decided that I need a new side hustle that's going to make me $1,000 a week. And so I decided that in the next week or so, I'm going to find something that's going to help me break free from my job no matter what. So here's what I did. I went to 15 different websites. I checked this one. I checked this one. I checked this one. I checked this one. I weighed out all their bullet points. I read all their headlines. I read all their reviews, and I narrowed it down to 3. And after I narrowed it down to 3, I found out that there's this one that everyone seems to be talking about, and it completely resonates with me. And it's called the superhero sidekick system or something, whatever, side hustle system. Point is that you focused intently on something that you wanted. And you quote unquote manifested it. You paid for it, but you took the time, you put in the energy, you put in the thought, you did the research in order to find the thing that you were then going to spend the money on and make the commitment on. You just made a $500 commitment, dude. When's the last time you made a 7-year $500 commitment to your business?
Probably never.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I'm not saying you did. I'm sure you needed a new car, right? So we have to find a way of balancing all of this and budgeting for all of this in our lives and our business. But like a $500 a month, imagine what a $500 or $1,000 a month commitment to you and your business would do for you.
Probably tons.
Right. So consider approaching the growth of your podcast with the same level of enthusiasm and vigor and urgency that you did with your car, because what that does is it creates more awareness of new opportunities that will move you in that direction. One of the biggest problems, dude, is, you know how we've been talking about finding your mission and getting super clear on your copy and the messaging and all this stuff. You got, over a short period of time, over a week and a half, you got your goal ultra clear and ultra detailed, and you just spent 20 minutes or maybe less, 10 minutes, giving me all the details of your goal, fine details of your goal, and the justification and reason behind each and every one of those. You kept on going. It was awesome. Right? You were like, I need it to do this and this. I need, it has this functionality and not that. I saw people are still driving them after this amount of time. I went to 14 different websites. Yeah, like you really did. You did a great job, it sounds like, on going through this process. I suck at that stuff. Like doing that whole stuff with car. Like I just make split decisions, which is not necessarily, I don't know. I don't know if it's better or worse, but the point is that, you got your goal super clear. You're, for the future, in this case, it was you wanted a car. You got a very clear, hyper detailed goal. I don't know if you wrote all the things down that you wanted or if you just thought them.
I thought them. Yeah, I just thought what I wanted, and then remember the book in 75 Hard about Andy? He said about intent, the intention thing. That's what I went in with. I went in with intention when I went go look at the car yesterday. That I wanted a low interest rate. I want to be able to buy it today and have a certain monthly payment. And I told the guy exactly what I wanted. So this is the things I need to make this car work for me today. And I gave him all the information that what I wanted. And he said, "Yep, no problem." And in the end, we went and they said, "Yeah, we can do this for you."
Here's what I want you to do, Curtis, and I want everyone to do is, and this is something I can do more, right? Is I'd like you to give me the details on the business or side hustle that you want. I want to know all the details now. Give me your best shot. What are the same bullet points as you gave the guys at the car dealership? I want to hear the same types of bullet points for the nature of the business that you want a year from now.
Okay, so I want to have the podcast from Hero FM to be making money. That's the whole idea. But it's like a premium style podcast platform.
You want to have a profitable podcast.
And the way I'm going to do weekly or bi-weekly or probably once or twice a week. It depends on how many people I get into it. I definitely maintain my 1 week for now. And then I'm doing editing with my audio so it sounds better instead of just doing live. I'll take my live, I'll re-edit it through Descript so it sounds better, more clear, the ums and ahs and stuff. And then they recommended doing an intro, outro, and then a middle part of where I can make a sort of like self-advertising style of audio clip, which I can use in my own podcast, and I can add it to other people's podcasts too. So I can give you the audio clip. Hey, this is my intro for my new podcast I'm doing, and you can just it's like a self promotion audio clips. And then they also have audio courses. So let's say I build out a hardworking dad course that's a video based.
Hold on. No. So we don't want to focus on the features of the system that you just bought. We want to focus on the business that you want to have in the future. And maybe Hero.fm or whatever is going to be a key tool to get you there. We're not talking about the tools. We're talking about the house that you're building. We're not talking about the tools that you're going to use to build the house with. We're talking about the house, right? So what's the house that you're building? Like you want a profitable podcast about parenting.
Podcast about parenting and how to be a better parent, how to use like your own, whatever you have now and how to change it. Because a lot of times we're stuck in a cycle of ourselves, right? And we get stuck with whatever. And I want to be able to help parents to get out of that, because I know I've been into it. And then you take a course or you learn something. It's like, oh, hey, I don't have to be like this person anymore. I can actually change my life.
Totally.
And a lot of times parents do have a lot of stress and they don't even know the level of stress they're at. because they're just trying to deal with the situation. They keep on push, and then they forget health has gone down. They gain like 10 pounds. Like, what the hell happened? Like, I used to go to the gym every day or every week, and now I'm not going to the gym at all. And like, oh, I gained 10 pounds in the last 6 months. What happened to me? And that sort of, so they're make them aware of where they are and that they can actually have those changes, even though they can have the time for themselves and still take care of their kids. So there's some techniques there that I found that work. And we did a course on it when we first had London on how to deal with the trust, the circle of trust, they call it. And it works. It even works today. Like, she comes up and gives the hugs and kisses just to check in. You should be outside playing for hours. All of a sudden, she's popping in the house, come give us a hug. Like, oh, hey, how's it going on?
Nice.
Yeah.
So, okay, Curtis. So check this out. So first of all, Will Horton has been a hypnotist and NLP practitioner for longer than I've been a hypnotist.
Oh, wow.
Will is a legendary hypnotist and hypnotherapist and NLP person. Will, I have decided, I was actually going to tell Curtis about this today. I decided that I'm going to reopen my local hypnotherapy practice and start working with people face-to-face, one-on-one again, which is a huge shift. So I'm very excited about that. That's actually my reticular activating system story. So Curtis, check this out. So I understand that you want a profitable podcast that is focused on parenting and helping parents. That's great. Okay. What are the other bullet points of the nature of the business, not the topic, the business? Like, what do you need in a business model in order to have the life you want to have? Like, what are the bullet
points? Income's more important, and then time frame that comes with that.
Hold on. You're going into vague. So let's get specific.
Okay.
What income?
So the income I would need to leave my job would be, say, $10,000, because you mentioned before that if you think 5 is which I make, and then you said double it, we can cover everything. So $10,001 is my goal, because I've seen people say 10,000 get 999. It's like
bummer.
$10,001 is what I want, just to make sure that you get over that hump of 10 grand, right?
Great. So you want to make $10,001 or more per month. Great. With your profitable parenting podcast, right? And I guess my question for you is, when you say time freedom, let's be, again, that's vague and largely meaningless. It's a feeling, kind of. It's a generality. So you're saying you want to be able to.
I would like to walk my daughter to school and pick her up from school during the week, because I'll be home.
Yeah.
And then the financial, then be able to cook dinner every night at a certain time. So
how many hours a week are you willing to work to make $10,001 a month?
4 to 5 hours or more.
No,
a week. Oh, probably 10 hours a week.
Okay. This is where I'm going to suggest a reality check.
Yeah, a bit more time.
Dude, you want to make double your income by working a quarter of the time, and you don't have a model built yet?
Not yet, no.
No. You're going to have to work like look, sometimes people get lucky and they stumble into something that gets you there faster. Okay?
Yeah.
But think about what it takes to generate enough money to pay you what you currently, like, think about what the business that you currently work for actually has to accomplish in order to pay you what they're paying you right now. The business is a machine. Like, a business that's been around for years, it's a machine. It's a money-making machine, and it takes years of manpower, of intelligence, of systems, of processes built up over probably decades. I don't know what company you work for, but like, this is no small effort. And you want to do it like 10 hours a week and make double your income? I think you are fooling yourself.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. Absolutely.
In order to get up to, now, can you go beyond that and reduce it? Sure. Okay. But to get there, and I know you need to keep working while you're making progress, but to get to the point where you're making 10 grand, how many hours a week are you willing to work to build the machine that can pay you twice as much as you're currently making right now, to build a business that's actually better than the one you're currently working for? more effective, more efficient than the business you currently work for. Now, totally different industry, totally different situation. You see what you're trying to build?
Yeah,
this is where most people screw it up. They're like, oh yeah, I could work for 60 minutes a day and build $1 million empire. No.
It's a dream.
No. You want to become a multimillionaire, like you're gonna at some point you're gonna have to work 80 hours a week. Sorry. Like I don't know a single millionaire that works anything less than 50 hours a week. It's just like, no, absolutely not. You know, there are, but that you have flexibility.
Yeah.
And you have perks and bonuses that give you an enormous amount of freedom. I'm not saying, but I've never met anyone that makes, that got to the point where they're making 10 grand a month by just like working 2 hours a day or something. Right.
Okay.
So really think about like you're trying to build a more powerful money making machine than the business you currently work for. Right. And just think about what it took to get that there. It's huge. Right.
Yeah, I think that could be like the fallacy of thinking of
people fall for the hype, they fall for the hype, right? And so, all right, well, look, I'm at my running buddies are going to show up here in a minute, so we do need to wrap. But here's what I have to say is, dude, you put enormous focus on all the details of what you want and what you wanted to create or acquire with this car. I want you to put the same level of energy, of enthusiasm, of vigor, of focus, of intensity on your specific clear goals and vision for your business and go after it with that type of energy. And your reticular activating system is going to kick on and you're going to start seeing opportunities everywhere to move you forward faster.
Okay.
But if you're just kind of like going through the motions and just kind of doing whatever, your brain's not even going to take you seriously and you're not going to change anything. So you actually created a moment of great change in the last week and a half by like through your decision-making process and then making the commitment to getting this car.
Right.
Approach your business with the same intensity. Okay.
Yeah. I'll definitely review this for sure. And then I'll just work on that.
Dude,
absolutely.
I keep on thinking this and not saying it because it sounds weird, but like you're bridging the gap between parenting and making money and side hustles, right?
Yep.
And what if you created a podcast that was just called Profitable Parenting?
Yep. Yeah, I picked that up earlier from you.
I think it would cause people to be like, "What is that?" Right? What do you mean profitable parenting? Am I selling my kids? No, you're not selling your kids. But like teach parents how to be successful parents and create side hustles at the same time, working from home so they can spend more time with their kids. Like that's a worthy cause.
Yeah. I think it's more of a thing that I believe in too, like for success for parenting and then try and get to do side hustles at the same time.
Right. Totally.
Excellent.
Cool, dude. Rock and roll. Well, we should talk. We should connect again soon. It was nice catching up. And thank you everybody for tuning into the Get Shit Done show. This has been episode 138.
Wow, awesome.
Go listen to Curtis's podcast. There's a link in the PS. And if you're not already a member of the Get Shit Done community, go and join at getshitdone.com. And I'll give you a copy of the Get Shit Done session, a hypnosis session that hypnotizes you to get shit done.
Get her done. Get shit done.
Rock and roll. All right, Curtis. Thank you so much as always. Great seeing you.
You too. Take care. Have a good day. Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.